Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We are excited that you're here with us live here on Red Worldwide's Co-working Live. And we are just really kind of enamored with the fact that you guys keep joining in and watching the podcast. Some of you guys are live here with us in Zoom, and that's where we get a chance to interact with you most. And we're very excited about that. Today is our Smarter Start Boot Camp, and I know that people are like, well, why do you call it Smarter Start? Well, because it's designed, to capture those people who are really thinking about a new idea or doing something else in business, buying a franchise, or creating a product or some type of a something widget gadget, something that they want to bring to market. And but we also are designed to help people who are in the growth stage and are really growing out their business. And maybe there were some things that they just didn't think about that they needed to do before. And we are bringing all these concepts to light because sometimes because you didn't go to business school, or maybe you did but you just kind of forgot some of those core things that needed to be done when you were starting your business that you can still implement now. It's still time for your smarter start. So every day is a new start with us, and we concentrate on things that are really important to business owners. And with that said, we want to jump in today to learning how we can evaluate what's really going on in our companies. What is it that helps us to um, bring some things to light or bring some things to bear? And so we are going to talk today about SWOT analysis and what a SWOT analysis is, how it works, and why you should do one. Okay, that's really important. So I'm going to use one of our companies as the um, guinea pig here today because I think it's really important for you to not just understand what a SWOT analysis is, but to see how it works in the real world. I mean, what is it that is making the SWOT analysis for us understandable is the fact that we're having to use it often in our companies. And so today we're going to, talk a little bit about one of the companies that we have called PMG, or Precision Management Group. And Precision Management Group works alongside of Red Worldwide in that it provides services to Red clients. And so we give corporate tax advisory services, strategic advisory services, fractional CFO services, and succession planning. Those are the four services that are offered at PMG. And we're going to kind of look at some of the concepts here from PMG to, see how it's doing, what it is that we need to do better, or where our weaknesses are, what threats are out there, and we'll kind of talk about what we do with those things. So let's break it down. So the SWOT analysis is really a concept of how you can evaluate and assess what's happening in your company at any time. You don't have to just look at it, when you're brand new, or for that matter, once a year, when you're doing your annual report, or sometimes when you're, doing a presentation to your board. You should be looking at this, I think, once a quarter, really looking at where we are and taking stock in the company and seeing what the company needs to be doing next. So it's broken down. SWOT is actually an acronym for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And so when we're thinking about it from that standpoint, what do we do well? Okay, what is it that we're lacking in, or things that we could be doing better? What are the opportunities we have ahead of us, and what are our threats? And so as we're looking at it from that standpoint, let's break down the strengths of PMG. So the strengths that PMG has right now is that we have innovative services. We offer cutting edge financial management solutions that distinguish it, or us, from our competitors. And when we say cutting edge, we really are talking about the fact that there are services that we offer that other people might be offering, but they're not necessarily doing it the way we do it. So things that we think about are on the cutting edge, are the fact that we have a suite of services that people can get, by purchasing a a subscription or getting a higher tier contract with us. We offer these services in a way that makes it accessible to all types of businesses, even though we really concentrate on people who are between the $500,000 to $3.5 million range in revenues. And that's a really important thing, that you know exactly who your client is. We do work with people who are in launch stage, and we do work with people. We have services that we offer to people who are in growth stage. But we are kind of working with a person who is in growth or mature, business stage, who actually are at those particular revenue stream points. And there are some specific reasons, because the kind of services that we have are targeted to those people. And we have an expert team. Our team is strong, they're knowledgeable, they're a firm, which means that they operate as their own companies, but they come together to serve the PMG client. And so when I want to share with you how that works, we have 3 separate companies that actually operate, at PMG. Precision Tax Advisors, which some of you guys who have been working with Red are familiar with Precision Tax Advisors. If you've gotten any type of business entity formed, or you've set up any type of trust, or any kind of you've done any document preparation, it probably came through Precision Tax Advisors if you've done it within the last year. If you did it before that, then we actually had a virtual services team at Red that used to perform that service, and we disbanded that group, and now we provide those services through a separate company, which is Precision Tax Advisors. Precision Tax Advisors also provides tax advisory services. So we have a business advisory side and we have a tax advisory side, but for the most part, we work together in that company to make sure that you are getting the very best in tax advisory and tax planning services. So we work with your tax professional, or we work, with Precision Tax Advantage. If you don't have a tax professional, then we have the Precision Tax Advantage side of things, where we actually provide, tax preparation services. And it's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for people who are, new in business, or people who are in business, but they need a streamlined tax service. And we actually offer that. And we do have some very interesting software that we use, that will help us to identify areas where you could be capitalizing, or things that you may need to add, to ensure that you're getting the most tax efficiency possible. So Precision Tax Advisors, Precision Tax Advantage, and then there's Precision Financial, the third part of our company, that actually works with people to assist them with things that they may not understand how they need to be doing, or that they may need to be doing better. And we do that through a structured suite of services. We have fractional CFO services, where if you need a CFO, but you would prefer to have that outsourced, well, we are the company that you can outsource this to. So we are excited about that. So we provide other types of services. We do analysis of businesses, valuation analysis, and other types of analysis. We help people with establishing business plans and, forecasting, profit and growth strategies. We are, all things profit and growth. Okay. We have a value builder program there in Precision Financial, where we assist people with, making sure that the value is in their company the way it needs to be. And we do that according to the 8 drivers of business value, and the 12 built to pass strategies. And so we use all of that in Precision Financial to make sure that your company is strong, that it has the value that you intend for it to have, and that you are able to get out of your company what you put into it, and it provides for you in a way that you deserve and desire. So those are that's the team per se that operates to make sure that PMG has a suite of services that covers all of our client base. The other thing is that we use technology. I mean, we are heavy on tech over here. We are running tech hard in the paint, okay? Because we believe that we need to use humans for the things that humans are absolutely needed for. And we leverage technology for efficient service delivery and customer engagement. So that's a real, heavy strength for us, that we are able to strike a balance there. A lot of companies are heavy on tech and they don't have the expertise. They don't have the, I should say the talent is not there, but we've got the talent and we've got the tech, and so we want to make sure that we strike a balance between those two. And those are the things that we do well. Okay, so where are we needing to, kind of bring some things in and do a little better in our company? Well, PMG, is lacking in brand recognition because we're new. We haven't been around very long. I will say that we existed as three separate companies, and we unified the companies just, within the last 8 months. And so that's sometimes a lot to bring together a cohesive set of our suite of services. And when you're bringing together people on board to serve, sometimes it's a little disjointed at first. And so we had these three levels of branding. We had three separate logos, and the color choices were kind of the same. We were all in the blue family, but I'm just saying that we were kind of not one, if I could say it that way, in our branding. And so because there's a limited awareness of PMG among our potential client base, right now, our brand recognition is just not there. We're hoping to get there and we are working to get there, but we're not there yet. And this is going to require that we, bring some things in, hire in a team or hire out, I should say, those services. And so we're looking to use Lex Vision Studios for, our our brand recognition, but we also are looking to use Believe and Defend Your Dreams, because they are, that is an area of expertise for them. And so we do have a website, and we'll share that in a few minutes, just the front page of our site, so you can kind of see, where we are, with that in that respects. But we are really working to, upgrade our brand and really get our brand out there so people know that we exist. The other thing is scalability. Our current, and at the time that we did this, the current operational setup was not easily able to support rapid growth. And there were a few reasons for that, which is the reason why we unified the companies, because we had these three companies operating in a silo. They had three different business structures, and they were serving clients very well, but we were serving maybe one client a week, our one or two clients a week. And we needed to be able to put things together so that we could get to more people faster and sustain the service that we were providing to them. And so by unifying the companies and bringing more people on board, it has allowed us to stretch out a little bit. And this month we have seen some enormous growth on the PMG side. And this is amazing because it's going to allow us to even do better this next month and the next month. And so this was tax time. And so we really needed to make sure that we had an operational setup that could, afford us new clients. And one of the things that we found is that we were able to pick up clients who needed the tax planning side of things. A lot of them filed an extension because they knew that there were things that they just didn't have in place for last year. But also they were looking for the ability to, see what they could gain access to and make sure that this coming year, they would be able to maximize their tax efficiency and structurally have things in place to give them the ability to use more of the money that they made. And so, with that said, we have those products, and the three companies together were able to, make that happen. But this was not even something that we could imagine when we did this particular SWOT analysis. We were able to look and see that there is a weakness and we needed to do something about it. And then the other thing is that we had resource limitations. We had a small team, limited financial resources compared to our larger competitors. And so we had to find a way to stretch out and build out an office that would allow us the ability to, in the lack of having more financial resources, what could we do to, use what we did have more efficiently so that we didn't have to, it didn't cost so much for us to run the company. And so that's called running lean. Okay. And we had to change some things so that we could have that lean startup mode activated. And so since we just are a new startup, Precision Tax Advisors literally is just a little more than a year old. Well, it's about a year and a half, and Precision Tax Advantage is a year and a half old, and Precision Financial is a little bit older than both of those companies. But the three companies together as now Precision Management Group, a firm, really does, they work together very well. Okay, so what are the opportunities that Precision has? Well, and I hope you see how we're breaking this down, because in doing so, this could give you the ability of what it is that you could do for your company. So let me go back, because I think it's really important. If you've got a pencil and a piece of paper, grab it now, because I really want you to do this for your company. If you're sitting in front of your computer, pull up the notes section, and or the a memo or some kind of way of grabbing. You could even use the chat function inside of if you're here with us on Zoom, because this is a chat that doesn't ever go away. So you'll be able to come back to it and look and see what you put in there, if you needed to, grab your notes out of there. But for the time being, put in here in the notes section what the strengths are for your company. I want to give you a few minutes to do that, because I think it's really important that you are tracking while I am doing what I'm doing on this end for PMG. I want you to be doing it for your own company. So what are your strengths? Where are the areas that you shine? Write it down. And while you're jotting that down, I just want you to be thinking about the way that we went after figuring out what our strengths were. We looked at our service portfolio. You might look at your product portfolio if you're a product-based company. And we productize services over here. So, we have packages and things of that nature. So we looked at those packages when I was doing this innovative services mode here. When I put that on the strengths area, when I went into that mode of seeing what it is that we do have, that was what I put there. Then expert team, I really thought to look at our people and see how our people provide the services that they provide. And the interesting thing is that when I went back and I polled our clients, and this is something that you should think about doing, write yourself a little note, poll my clients so that I can see what they are seeing. I wanted to see things through their eyes. And so I had to ask the hard questions, not knowing what they were going to say, about the services they had received so far. Because remember, again, we're still new, in this, and we wanted to really get an accurate depiction of what clients' experiences are so that we could plug any holes if we needed to, and add, to whatever services that we needed to add to make sure clients didn't have anything that they were needing that we couldn't offer, in the scheme of what it is that we were telling them that we were going to do. And then, of course, our tech utilization, we have always been heavy on tech in our other companies that we worked, in, or that we worked for, or that we have established. And so this was an easy one to see. Okay, I hope you guys got some things jotted down there. Now we're going to go to, what are your weaknesses? What areas do you need to work on? You know, do you have brand recognition issues, or are you heavy on brand and you're all in social media and everywhere else you need to be online, and you also have, even a very structured brand colors and things of that nature, are you or do you have your taglines and your hashtags and your mantras and all of those things? Are those things very easy for you to say that you have, or is that a weakness for you? Is that something that you need to work on? And what is it that you want to do about that? Just look at your company from that standpoint and say, okay, this is the thing that I know I need to do to make sure that is going to be really important, in our provision of services. Gloria, thank you for joining us this morning. We're in Smarter Start Bootcamp, and we are learning about the SWOT analysis. And so right now, I have people, taking the stock. They are writing down their own little notes about what their company needs to do. So the first thing that we did, and I'm going back just because I want to make sure you're caught up, is that we looked at the strengths of the company. Where is your company strong? Okay, and so this is one of our companies, Precision Management Group, that we evaluated, and we are just sharing what our strengths are. But what are your company strengths? Write it down, put it in the chat so you can kind of have a place to go back and grab it from if you don't have notes or anything available, a pencil and a notebook or anything. Okay. And then what are your company's weaknesses? What are things that you could do better, at where are you lacking currently, that would help you to see, what your next steps could be to upgrade or to bolster, strengthen your company. Okay. All right. I hope everyone was able to get down something that they in this area of weaknesses. And now we're going to move on. Okay. So I started talking about opportunities. So opportunities are really abundant, and it just takes us to really take the time to research to find out what they are. So, sometimes we have to do what's called an industry um, through industry a set of industry research, or find an industry report, and there are several companies that can provide those. Sometimes they're expensive and you may not be able to gain access to that, but if you're a Red member, you can actually get industry reports for free by coming to an advisory session or putting in a request for an industry report, and we do give you one of those industry reports in the lifetime of your membership. You can get one for free. And so in that, a lot of times they cost about between $1,500 and $3,500. We have relationships with other companies, at Red, where we can provide those. And one of the companies that we have a relationship with that gives us the industry reports is Precision Management Group. So in our Precision Management Group's strategic advisory services that we provide, some of those are under the guise of getting a valuation analysis done for your company to find out the company's value. And one of the services that we provide when we're doing that valuation analysis is we have to benchmark. We got to know, how your company fares alongside of other companies. And so we do industry reports. Sometimes when you come to us and you are very new and you wanting to set up a new company that's going to build out some product or service, we'll need to do a feasibility study or a proof of concept. And so that's something that Red does, and Red leans on Precision Management Group to provide these particular types of services. So in order to find out your opportunities, you really need to understand your industry. And there's lots of things in an industry that can change in a year. I remember looking at some pre-pandemic industry reports, and in another session, we'll break down the industry reports and show you what they look like, and really get you kind of acclimated to this particular level of research, because I think it's important that people are aware of what, I'm going to see if I can find one that I have right here close on my computer right now. But I think it's really important that you are aware. I have a social networking report. So let me see if it'll come up. And if it does, then I will bring it up for you guys, because I think that you should just be aware of what they look like. Okay. So let's see. Hmm. Let me see if I can pull that up. But while I'm grabbing that, I think it's important that you guys understand, that there are people who spend their entire lives, okay, working, to when I say their lives, their work life, okay, working to provide the right type of report, so that people who are in business can know what their business needs to do. So, it's interesting, that as we are looking at the okay, here's one, the industry research and evaluation that I did for this particular company. So this is going to be wonderful. Let me share my screen, because I think that you'll be able to really enjoy taking a look at this. So let's see. Hold on. Okay. But as we are, in business, from time to time, we really need to, pay attention to, you know, what's happening in the industry, what everybody else is doing. Okay. And I know that I've heard people say, well, it doesn't matter to me what everybody else is doing, because I know I'm going to be able to do things better. And that very well could be the case. But unfortunately, there's some things that, if you don't know, it could hurt you. And so it's so important for you to, just kind of um, understand, from the standpoint of um, what is happening in your industry, so that you can better prepare things for, what it is that you're wanting to do. So in this particular case, this was a report that I did on the outsourced CFO services in the management accounting industry. Okay. And this was a very important report, because I needed to see if we added these chief financial officer fractional services, that's what they're called, fractional CFOs, if this would be something that the particular clients that we're focused on helping could use. And I want to say that, this is 2023 data, so it's pretty relevant, pretty new. And I'm going to go to the end of the report, because I want to show you that we used a lot of different areas of research to get this information. We found some on the web, and we pulled that information in, but we also noted that the information that we found on the web, some of it those were secondary sources, meaning that these were also reports and research that had been done, and this was just the result of that research being placed here on the internet. So some of it we got from LinkedIn and some of these other places, but some of it was very credible research, and it's important that you have credible research. So here are some of the other places. The contractor CFO pay information we pulled from a news record. Here we got some of this information off of CFO Hub. This was an article or a blog that we pulled some information out of. iBiz World is an actual company that does research, and we have an account with them. And this information here, the 2023 research from in the accounting services industry, this is probably two of the most credible sources that we had to share. A third credible source was Pomeroy and Kammerer. They I did a study and they had it in the CPA journal. And so that was some credible information. Statista is another research company. And so it was a 2024 study that was done. And, so this was very credible information. The global financial advisory market, this was pulled in from Statista, which again was, very credible research. Here's another one, the Business Research Company. They published a study. Okay. And so this was their global market report for 2023. So this is very relevant within the last 5 years, actually within the last 2 years. All of the research that I pulled for this study was research that was, credible, not just something that I found, somewhere on YouTube or somewhere on the internet. But I mean, I actually went to places that have people who get paid to do research for a living. And they provided that information, and we were able to pull that information to our study. Okay, and so in the study, we had, our introduction and our industry overview that kind of talks about what the industry is like, and the amount of people in the industry, how much the industry is going to grow over the next few years. We saw that the accounting services industry in the U.S. was valued at $143.4 billion in 2023. And globally, it reached a valuation of $604.2 billion, which is a really, solid round number for an industry. If somebody's thinking about going into that industry, that, it gives them a feeling of that the industry is going to be around a while. There's a lot of, opportunity here. And the financial advisory market itself was expected to grow 5.76% from 2024 to 2027, which is a nice, solid number. Most averages are coming in at about 2 to 3%. So this is a very, it's not a high growth industry, like, for example, if you start looking at the industry of, advisory services by itself and coaching and consulting, it grows about 10%. Okay. So, if we were just doing advisory, not financial advisory, we'd have a little bit more growth there. But because, the financial advisory market is pretty solid, it grows at a little bit lower trajectory than, even though there's growth potential there, it's a little bit lower than your average advisory service. The global financial advisory market is projected to reach a valuation of 115.357 billion, okay, by 2028. So that's a compound annual growth rate. Some of you guys have seen that acronym CAGR, and you might have wondered what it was about. Well, this is saying that this particular industry is growing annually, okay, if you compound the annual growth at about 5.39%. Okay. And during the forecasted period, what it is that they're looking at between now and to our 2024 and 2028. So what are the trends? Okay. And so this is really good information because this tells you where you might want to center some of your attention, looking at the trends. All right. And so the trend towards outsourcing non-core business functions has made fractional CFO services increasingly popular. And that came from the Business Research Company and also from IBizWorld. Both of these companies are seeing this as a viable industry for someone to go in. And so we looked at some of the top players and what it is that they do and how they do it, and, to see where we might fit. If there is a portion of the industry that we could possibly take a market share, where could we get in here? How do we fit in here? Okay. Is it too saturated where there's no room for us? So we had to look at some of these things and understand what it is that we're doing and see whether or not this is something that is an open enough market for a new company like ours to fit into. And if so, how do we fit into the market? Okay. But having this industry report gave us the data that we needed to make that decision. So when when you're looking at things from that standpoint, I really want you to be seeing, when we're talking about the concept of having, an opportunity, understanding what the opportunities really are going to be really important for you. And how do you get to that information? How do we find out what our opportunities are? Well, again, using some industry report and other industry reports and other types of data could help you understand what your opportunities are. So looking at that data, we were able to see what the market demand was, that it's a growing demand, that there's room for digital expansion. Okay. And so there's a potential there to expand services digitally and reach a broader audience through our tech. And of course, strategic partnerships. There are people that their clients need our services. And so collaborating with complementary business services or platforms would allow us to enhance our service offerings. So this is a huge opportunity for us. And we decided to, take a look at that and move in that direction. Now, the last thing is what are the threats? Sometimes you have things that pop up and you need to understand ahead of time, what some of those things could be so that you could position things better, and make sure that you have the ability to mitigate your risk and not, or manage your risk and not be in a situation where things catch you and you don't have something in place, prepared to take care of it. So one of our threats was competition. We know that there's lots of well-established firms out there with more resources, more funds that could intensify the competition. We show up in their market and we show up in their neighborhood, and they might tighten up, their belt and launch some things to try to make things a little bit more difficult. And so what do we do about that threat? How do we manage it? How do we mitigate the risk? Well, in this particular case, what we decided to do is work with our competition. What if we had something we could offer to our competition that they're not offering to their client? So they could use us for some things that they just absolutely are not poised to do. And we have made those connections. It's amazing to find out how many people who are in accounting that don't have some of the services that we have, and they don't have the tech. They haven't spent the money for the tech. So they would rather use us for things that, are easy for us to provide for them. And they just pay us for that and they charge their client. And we have made that connection with several companies this year in 2024, since January. We have picked up collaborative partners, and we're working cooperatively with different types of companies to become the service provider of services that they don't offer. And that has been an amazing way to work with our competition and to become a part of the landscape. We're not trying to take their clients, we're trying to serve their clients. Okay. And by serving them, we're serving their clients. So that's a really, I believe it's a really good way to, approach, manage your threat. Okay. Regulatory changes. Financial services are subject to regulatory changes that can impact operations. We are always seeing tax changes. I mean, oh my gosh, there are tax changes that happen every year. We get a tax packet, and you guys have talked, to me, some of you, about how the laws change and how it makes it difficult for you to understand what you need to be doing with your taxes. And so because of the regulatory changes, we have a strategic research component inside of our company that is constantly upgrading our software, upgrading our paperwork and things that we use to meet the new demands of whatever, the commercial code might be, or the Internal Revenue Code, or insurance code, or some of these other, trust code, uniform trust code. I mean, we are trying our best to make sure that we stay above the line, when it comes to anything with regards to regulations and compliance. That's a huge area for us. And we want to make sure that we have the most relevant and recent information to share with our clients so that they have what they need. Because a lot of times people are using things that are out of date. They are not taking into account the changes. And so they run a whole year off of last year's information only to get to the end of the year and find out they can't take advantage of what it is that they thought was going to be available. So it's important for us to be able to provide that service so that clients have the information that they need. The other thing is market volatility. Economic fluctuations could influence clients' willingness to invest in advisory services. And it's really true. We have to keep our price point, at and an amount that makes sense for the clients that we are targeting, because we're targeting that $500,000 to $3,500,000 range. We have to have a service portfolio that is going to be available to them and accessible to them. It's one thing for us to be available and they can't actually utilize our service because it's too expensive, or it's maybe it's not necessarily that it's too expensive, it's just that they're not in a place where they can do it yet. Okay, so the cost itself is about or lower than even what other people are offering those services for, but they're just not at a place where they can afford to take advantage of that particular type of service. So we have to have something that they can take advantage of. So we do have some DIY services where we have an app where we give them the app and we make certain things available to them. And we teach them how to use it. And then when they get to a place of where they do have the ability to come and, utilize our services and turn it all over to us and not have to do anything in-house, then, we're here for them. Well, these are some of the things that we have, been able to look at. And I wanted to really, bring this out and share it because I think it's important for people to, have access to a tool that they can use for assessment and evaluation. There are some other tools that we're going to talk about in future sessions. And, when we're doing these podcasting sessions, we really try to plan to make sure that we have available information that would help you. But the SWOT analysis is something that you can really use now. It's something that's easy. I mean, you can sit down and, like I said, you can do this once per quarter. If you're new, maybe you do it once a month, okay, for the first 3 months until you're able to see, okay, we've taken care of this. Is this here still a problem? That may be something that you take a look at, so it's important for you to understand that sometimes, having access to tools are really going to cause you to change the way that you do things. And so I want to go back, to one of our first slides, where we showed them all together, because I want you to see how they work together and how they look next to each other, and as you're looking at it, you're able to see, okay, maybe some of our strengths can help us with some of the weaknesses, okay, and maybe some of our opportunities can help us with some of the threats. And that does become a way that you can use the SWOT analysis often, when you're taking a look at it from that standpoint. When we come next time, we are going to take a look at, some of the other concepts that are involved in our lean model that we've talked about, the lean business model. And so as we are looking at what we can do to run a company that's lean and take advantage of some of the wonderful opportunities that are there in the lean business model. We'll look at the lean canvas and how do we do a one-page business plan that helps us to see things from a different perspective and understand where we are today in our company. And then we'll show how that one-page business plan can turn into a pitch that you could possibly use when you're looking to get funding. And so we'll take a look at that next week, because we want to really help people position themselves so that they, again, have the tools to run their company and do business better and get a smarter start, than what possibly they may have had in their past. Okay. And remember, every day you can get a new start in your business. It's just a matter of you taking the advantage, I should say, taking advantage of the tools that are being put before you and putting them into play immediately. Well, this has been Patience Rose with Red Worldwide's Red's our co-working live time that we have every single day on Mondays and Wednesdays, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then on Fridays, we're here at 12 noon. And we look forward to seeing you here next time.